broadcasting. There we go. We're live. We can broadcast up to 8 hours. That's not gonna happen tonight. I need to sleep because it is 8 right now. But yeah, we were talking about festivals, and we're gonna start over again. Talk about it. So I've got a blog post coming up soon about how you could have, if everybody who bought a ticket had a bracelet around their wrist,
Which they
that
do.
yeah, as Rory can show, and it can track everybody in the venue. So everything from where the crowds are, how they move around, to what booths they go to how much they drink. I'll bring up the article, but so what did you use your bracelet that you've got there for?
And that's all they were using them for.
In and out.
Yeah. They have a little QR code that scans you as you leave in the evening. But they didn't use it for anything else. But there's lots of stuff you could be using it for. I mean, they have the the Barclays bands. There is definitely some use for that, especially in a festival. I mean,
Yeah, definitely. Like the Barclays, the British Summertime one at Hyde Park. Like that's, I can see where they're just trying to get it in. The uptake must be quite hard because people, they've been trying to push contactless for like the last couple of years, and even then the uptake is a little bit slow, and the places that actually accept it, the people, they want a bracelet that they can use in like limited places. But it's cool though. Like imagine the data you can get back from their transactions, like when they drink. If you could, I say it in my blog post that if you could track when people, like groups of people, were gonna come and go and buy drinks, then you could tell the bartenders through an algorithm to start pouring beers like 5 minutes before they start, or when they start walking over.
yeah, but there's also the fact that an algorithm isn't a real person in front of you. I mean, say like a huge festival, like, well, not huge, but a huge venue that's very overrun by its demands. I mean, every time I've been to Milton Keynes, for example, the concession, the consignment of people selling product, drinks, whatever, is huge. Like, it's a constant queue. So that just wouldn't make any sense. Or it wouldn't make any improvements.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Especially with festivals, you you don't know how,
Festivals.
yeah, like festivals or anything. You don't know how like live music's gonna turn out. Like an artist could do like play a song for an extra couple of minutes, so you're basing like an algorithm off a strict schedule, then it's gonna fall apart.
Well, the thing is, an event planner will know and account for all of these things in the first place. I mean, for instance, one of the smaller stages at the Isle of Wight Festival, um, they were like, they specific, the music they were into was all acoustic. It was kind of, it wasn't anything too hardcore. It was rocky, it was folky, it was, acoustic, all kinds from ukuleles to jazz and ska, that kind of upbeat kind of. But the main thing they pushed was they were like a beer tent, but they would have a set amount of kegs slapped behind the bar every night, and by the end of the night, all of the alcohol would be gone, all of the beer, because they knew exactly how much everyone would drink. They knew they could finish those,
What, did they get it pretty close or?
yeah, like within half an hour of the end of the night, like all the beer, the kegs would be dry.
Okay, that's pretty good. Hmm.
because
Well,
it doesn't matter. They can still work out how many hands or how many mouths are going to drink. What was it? A keg is 70 liters, 80 liters, or something? I don't know. Something.
that depends on the cake, I guess.
Well, a metal one, a big one.
Yeah. Um, in my post, I start off talking about Coldplay's concert back in 2011. You probably saw it on the news. It's the one where all of them had their bands and they all lit up and they made like this beautiful like sea of like lights flashing in different patterns and things. It was purely random. They, yeah, purely random, but they did it really well. And I think having lights on wristbands is a good idea. You can like really make a unique experience each time.
Didn't they do that at the New Year's in London last year?
Oh yeah, was it Virgin that did it?
I think it might have been
My
Motorola.
parents went and enjoyed it. Yeah, it was really cool, and I think it connects people in a different way in concerts. It's really
Well, it's user interaction, isn't it? It makes them feel like they're interacting more.
definitely. And I think later on in my post, I said about this idea of if your phone is at like one of those charging bays, then they would ping a message to your wristband saying that your phone's charged. So you could literally communicate that way. It was quite nice. Or if you ordered something on your phone, then it could use the GPS on your phone or your wristband to like you put your wrist in the air and it starts flashing and like a drone delivering stuff, could be a beer, sounds pretty good, and flies over and just sort of like hovers above you. It recognizes your wristband, your phone, or your face or whatever, or your thumbprint if you could do that, and just literally just take your item. Like
Yeah, I mentioned this to you a couple of weeks ago, whatever. Last time we discussed this a while ago, but they had Domino's deliveries at Isle of Wight, but it was in a golf cart which drove around to wherever you were, which included your tent.
No way. How did they do that? A GPS on your phone, or did you have quadrants or something?
I don't know. I think they just stuck to specific routes or guidance, whatever. But I was playing around with the idea of drones, and if they could deliver pizzas with drones. The only issue is they could probably knock the pizza out of the sky, or somebody could steal it or something.
Yeah.
Yes, if there's some way of having a wristband that's connected to the payment, so the payment only comes through, it only unlocks the pizza from the machine, like the what do you call it? The Barclays bikes, how the bikes only are unlocked once it's paid for. If you could use the wristband to unlock the pizza from the drone, so then you'd be the one that takes it and pays for it, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really good point. A lot of people, like, when they think of drone delivering, they think, yeah, it can get shot out of the sky and that. But I thought about a simple solution. You just fly higher and then just come down when you need to, like, right above the house. But that's a good point, actually. If the drone has to deliver to your phone, and when you order it, it's live, so your GPS has to be needs to be on like 100% the time it's being delivered, so it goes directly to you. And if something does happen, then they'll have other drones probably recording or something, or they'll have ways of like sending out real people to deal with it, or sending the police, because all these drones obviously have cameras on. Then they can just record the criminals, I guess, and send that to the police straight away to deal with it.
Sure.
It was interesting. Just looking at other things now.
If we go back to see the near field wristbands, I think there is some definite usage for them. I mean, I'm skeptical and worried about near field in the first place. I mean, I think the banks cover up, or at least make sure that the general people around, you know, general people don't hear a lot of the information that is out there about near field, especially the fact that, you know, these contactless cards are easy to get to break through. You know, all you need is a phone or something. You know, it's a
Yeah.
little too easy. But negating that issue, or at least foregoing it, if we, you know how lots of these cards get confused. You know, say I have a wallet, and I go through the subway, and I place down my wallet, but I have more than one near field contactless chip
Hmm.
inside here.
Yeah.
It confuses the machine. I mean, say if I might even have a credit card and a Oyster card that both get charged simultaneously. That happens, effectively. Um, but what I'm proposing is, say you have a wristband, and this wristband has a near field in it, but it has uh, access to everything, not just one utility. It has access to your money, it has access to your Oyster. Um, it can get through your door, say. Um, but the difference is at the at the point of use of contact, you have some form of what are they called? The hotspots, or
Like beacons.
you have a beacon that's sending out a message in that local area, telling it what it is and the use it has. So your chip in your arm, when it comes within the area of that beacon, goes, oh, okay, this is the use that I'm being told that I'm doing right now. I will do that use right now. And then, so once you're in the area of that beacon, that device on your arm will only do that thing. So say you're walking through a subway, it will swipe your subway card, and that's it. Um, if you're in
Yeah.
a coffee shop, it will do a charge for payment. If it does your door, it will do your door. It means you can have one wristband that does multiple things, but only in the areas that it's supposed to. It's simple,
Yeah.
really.
I think I agree with having it all in one place, but even a wristband is an extra device. I can just see that all going to your phone. Like if you've got a smartphone, like this has got NFC, but I don't ever use it as of yet. But if you can control it on here and you're in a coffee shop, you don't know if it. You can choose if it's checking you in on Foursquare or Swarm, or if you're getting a discount from a loyalty, or you're paying on a certain card. Like personally, I don't of yet, but people have cards for different reasons. Like American Express, you can get certain points or double points from shopping in certain places. Um, so I think one day we might have it all in our wrist. That would be amazing.
Yeah,
And
we go
I think
from a band to a chip. That's what I
I,
want to see.
I heard of this like ID, this way of IDing yourself is by it scanning the veins and blood vessels in your hand and your arm because it's 100% unique. What's
Right.
interesting, but yeah, it's. But going back to festivals, I think there is a lot of data that could be captured in this sort of unique time. I think, yeah, I think it's really good opportunity because at when you're at a festival, you're sort of laid back, relaxing, you're just having a good time, and you just sucking it all in. So I know I've got that media hat on, but it's a good opportunity to really communicate with these people while they're
Mm.
enjoying themselves. They're not in work mode, not in home mode. They're literally in festival enjoy myself mode. So if you can like tie into those like experiences, then while complementing the experience, why not? You know?
I think there's still some use for a wristband, though. I mean, for instance, I don't know, OLED or Kindle, the Kindle material, the stuff that writes to.
Hmm.
Um, if we could have some message or something, say you have on your phone a list of all the bands that are playing the days,
Yeah.
um, but the wristband, you then click on the bands that you enjoy and want to go see, and it will store and send you messages with reminders. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so when those bands are going to come on, say within half an hour, it comes up going, Red Hot Chili Peppers are going to play on stage so and so.
Yeah. I think with like the next round of smartwatches, I think that's just gonna make it so much easier. I
Communicate
can,
information.
yeah, I can see. I don't know if you saw the latest LG watch, and it literally looks like a watch. It's exactly the same like this, but this is a face. This is like a face, and as soon as you like interact with it in a certain way, like okay Google, and then bam, you've got like your content and everything. I think I don't know watches like that disguising the technology inside.
Yeah, but they've been doing that for years. Remember, you have the small watch with a TV in it, and the watch with a calculator in it, and
Yeah, Casio. But yeah, I think
but yeah, but there is definitely leeway and use for having being able to collect that data. I mean, the issues is, or the issues will be, will the public really let you take that information or take that data? Um, are they going to accept a device that is simply designed so marketeers can, or event managing people can engineer an environment? I
yeah,
mean,
I know what you mean. I think I mentioned this, but I think it's about that experience. It's that value of um of having something that tracks your GPS or tracking your purchase. It could be something simple from making a purchase of a drink from like 40 seconds down to 20 seconds. Like it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you go up for a whole weekend, that might save yourself time and frustration, change, and things like that.
there are
Um,
definite, especially for a festival, especially when you need cash all the time. Like, if I kind of really wish I had one of those Barclays wristbands when I was at a festival, because there are times when you need cash for everything, and you've got to work out how much cash everything's going to cost. Um, but you might run out of cash, and then you might be stuck, somewhere or something. But if a festival is completely set out with contactless, you can just run around and not even have to have cash on you, which is again, you know, something that you then don't have to worry about. You don't have to worry about having several £100 cash just in your pocket or in your tent. Um,
yeah, definitely.
Also, you have to get more cash out from the machines, which costs extra money. Um,
And even that's a
yeah.
safety risk because late night, the back of a festival, and you're trying to take get money out of the machine. But yeah, as long as the bracelet has a way of IDing you. So imagine if the bracelets, when you tapped in, your face or your ID pops up on their screen and they accept it, and then you can go. That's quite interesting.
That would be worth it. I mean, I'm wary of the contactless payments just for simply that it's always broadcasting. It's always going, "Hello, I'm so and so. Here's my information. Here's my money." So anyone can walk past you. They don't even need to pickpocket you, and they can take your money. It's just kind of making it too easy. So there need to be some boundaries. I mean, having a button that activates it or something would simply, you know, alleviate those safety issues. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why I think sort of m-commerce. I don't know if you saw the rumors about American Express, Mastercard, Visa teaming up with Apple for a new Apple Wallet, like Google Wallet, but Apple version. I definitely can see that being announced on the 9th. But yeah, if you walk into a bar or something and you go up to the bar, you tap in to pay, then your ID information might be shared in a certain
Mm.
respect. Because anybody underage can walk in with a debit card or cash, and what I'm trying to say is it's another way of checking people's ID.
I
What's
mean, you wouldn't. I mean, they very rarely check your IDs, especially if you have a beard. Um, it's true. But yeah, if you had a, a thing on your wrist that had all your information that could tell them how old you are, I mean, they wouldn't have to check. I mean, or at least if it didn't, if it shared the information but didn't tell them the information, it only gave an alert if the information was wrong. So if they were underage or something like that. There was actually a club that did an experiment with some technology. It was pretty cool. It was contactless payment, well, no, contactless cards and some other tech that changed the way that they dealt with people within the clubs. It was quite interesting. Basically, they give you a contactless card when when you arrive at the club. They take your keys, so it's one of these nice clubs that valet park your car
Mhm.
outside,
Yeah.
give your keys away. But basically, all the urinals and the toilets, um, and at the bar, so it tracks what you're buying, and then it tracks what you're peeing out, or so it can then it measures your alcohol level in your urine,
That is a
and
very
then
interesting article. I'd love to read that.
I have to show it to you, because then that's connected to your contactless card that's in your pocket. And then if you're too drunk to drive, and then when you go to leave, it will refuse to give you your keys back, and it will offer either a taxi or a shuttle from the club to your hotel automatically.
That sounds really good. Like those kind of, I know it's an experiment, but those kinds of things are really cool. And the fact that it's sunk up with the urinal, the toilet, that is very interesting. And give credit to whoever thought of that. It's very interesting. But I do like that though. It's quite interesting. Never thought about it tracking, like the club could track how much you drink. It's quite interesting. Like if you got to a certain amount of units, then it would warn you,
They could stop you from drinking.
or it was literally a legal requirement by the state or the country that they couldn't serve you
Well, no,
anymore.
in the UK, if you're drunk, they technically shouldn't be able to sell you alcohol. It's
Yeah,
it's like a
exactly.
legal thing. If the bartender thinks you're too drunk to drink, you shouldn't be drinking, and they can refuse to serve you.
It's
But no
really,
one does because it's all about making money.
yeah, it definitely is. It
So
feels
from
like,
that standpoint, it could actually be a way of enforcing law.
yeah, definitely. It's a really good point, and the repercussions of that, you could literally, the NHS would save millions. That could be the same in festivals. I'm trying to bring it back to festivals. But yeah, if they've drank too many units within a certain amount of hours, let's say, yeah,
Well,
like
that's providing there a urinal that tests it and has the near field and has something to test it when you walk in. I mean, what it could, in theory, do is prevent people from preloading outside in the. Because what they do is you can drink in your tents as much as you want, but they won't let you bring any outside alcohol in to the festival.
yeah,
There's gates and stuff, obviously. That kind of makes sense, no glass, no cans, whatever. But really, what it's doing is hiking up the prices and forcing you to do it. So
yeah,
what lots of people do is preload, which lots of people do anyway. When they're going out for a night out. But if there was a thing that scanned you, I mean, obviously there needs to be some kind of way to test them before they come in, which there wouldn't necessarily be. They theoretically could pre-test your alcohol level before you enter, and if your alcohol level is too high to enter the festival, they could prevent you from entering. I mean, it would be bad for business, but they could theoretically do it. The
Yeah.
same, yeah.
No, that's good. I
We're
think it's
talking about um, we're talking about data and technology taking over a major point of what business owners, bartenders, and bouncers all do. This is all part of their job. So really, it's just looking what data and technology can do. But we have people that do that.
yeah, they just do it themselves. It's their judgment. But with data and uptake, you could really have the facts and keep the facts. Because being a bouncer, it's all about your interpretation, and then you have to give your opinion after something bad happens. But if you can stop it with an algorithm, or you can have those facts on your side, it would
Yeah, but
change
then
the industry a lot.
there's a huge argument for who has that information. Like, I mean, obviously Barclays own those wristbands, and if they can get those wristbands everywhere, then Barclays is going to be the one that owns all that data. I mean, it
Yeah,
doesn't really matter, but they could sell it. There's something in their clause that probably allows them to sell it to anyone they want, which means that you are not in control of the data that you're creating.
yeah, definitely. I'm gonna do a blog post in the future about how banks or financial services could be quite an interesting new pool of insight. So they can sell insight, but they can't sell consumer data. So they can say that 18 to 24-year-olds who live in North London go to a certain chain of pubs. I don't know. It's not the best example, but it's an example. But they can't say that Joe Bloggs likes to go to Wetherspoons. So, but yeah, I think
But
the
yeah, there's an
last.
argument on who can have that data, though. I mean, think about your boss, your employer. I mean, what's the ethical grounds that they could just maybe, in theory, buy that information if they really wanted to, but they could just have that information depending on who has it. Um, that could be a real privacy issue. I mean, there's a whole privacy issue with drinking and drugs. I think surrounding employment, like they were talking about how it's it's part of your personal privacy that your employer shouldn't be privy to or shouldn't be able to judge you on what you do in your free time, whether that be drinking or drugs.
Yeah, it's definitely a delicate. Yeah, it could be. I know certain people might have quite, I don't know, odd interests or hobbies or browsing history. It could be anything, but if it doesn't affect the job in any way, shape, or form, and then your boss or HR judge you on that and not your performance on the job, I think that's terrible. But that actually leads on to my sort of final point is on my post I actually talk about imagine if you could track all your staff in the same way. So all of these bouncers, all the stewards, they all have smartphones or these bands, and you could track them. So when they work, when they stop work and things, or when they drift off, um, I had this idea of having like a big map, and then you could see all of your staff. And
Mm.
if a situation or an issue happened here, then you can get the staff around here to go there, and then all these staff shift over, and then maybe get some more. Like you could literally build in ways of pushing all these staff, well, positioning the staff where you need them, and then tie that in with the actual visitors of the venue and where they are and how they're moving, shape the audience how you want them, or protect the audience how you want to. Um, I thought that was quite interesting.
Mm.
It's a
Well,
cool
if you could track
concept.
every person's movements through GPS through a bracelet or something, a wristband, you could theoretically uh, measure the density of a group or a crowd, which could help people not die in festivals and concerts, which
Hmm.
happens. People get squished together. That happens. Um,
Yeah, definitely. I think imagine if there was emergency and you had like tens of thousands of people moving in directions, and like managing that flow could literally be a life or death situation. You could see people that were like stopping, like all of these people are moving, but there's like one or two people stopping. That could be a flag to the system saying that this person may have fallen over and being trampled on. It could be something like that.
Mm.
And then you send a drone in to just check it out, fly over the top and peek on down. But yeah, and yeah, I think that'll tackle some issues, especially staffing, because if you're in security, you can't understand. You don't know where all of your staff are at any given time, and they still it works, but they still traditionally use radios. They're like pinging messages to each other, and not everybody has radios because of resourcing. So yeah, it's quite
Yeah, but
interesting.
then that's another argument. Just because it's new and it's good and it's fandangled doesn't mean that somebody's going to be able to afford to outkit every employee with it. That's a huge undertaking. The
Yeah,
infrastructure change.
well maybe it'll be good because I think for small venues it wouldn't make sense because you can literally shout to the other person probably, or like just use like the low frequency radios. But on larger scales, like V Festival, Isle of Wight Festival, like all of these festivals, I think they'll see the worth in that. Right? For the for the companies themselves, they'll need a good partner, and then they'll need good like data miners, people that can actually analyze data in a quick manner, and those resources are hard to come by. If you could have algorithms set up that could bring up certain flags, like if you knew the wall of death was going to happen.
Yeah, but you'll know the wall of death is going to happen by the music. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
that's why they don't write wall of. That's why they don't write certain musical rhythms into the music anymore. Literally, the hardcore and metal genre changed over the period of 10 years because they started not writing certain elements of music into their music to prevent certain things from happening. So literally, they started writing out middle fifths and breaks that encouraged wall of deaths and moshes. They had to. I mean, within the last 10 years, it was just getting too bad, too violent. So
Yeah,
the genre, the music of genre changed to facilitate its audience. It's actually startling how like big that is if you really think about it.
yeah. Well, have you got any more points or anything on festivals and
Well, when
data?
it comes to a festival and all this data, I recently finally indulged and bought SimCity, and it's very similar because you have all that data and it's being poured around your map, which is a map, you know, if you think about it. And if you, for a festival, you could outline your entire, all, you know, the map, and then you can pull this data around your area, and you could build an architecture system that tells you, you know, where 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 you're getting congestion of people, or you know, and that could be because of food, or that could be because people are coming out of this exit and eating this food and preventing people from exiting that exit, or things like that. It could start allowing you to monitor or at least watch a travel pattern of how your festival is run. I mean, you
Mm,
know how IKEA has arrows that point you in a certain direction. Festivals don't have that, but there is a certain amount of thought that goes into that.
yeah,
But
that's a
there
good
could be
point.
more
So if you had this team that was mining the data and you had this
in real time.
yeah, in real time, you could have bars and stalls and toilets and everything, and you could see what the usage of all of these venues were. you could have like screens jotted around, or you could have staff directing people in certain ways, or giving certain people
Mm.
certain messages. You could have screens
What
um,
if? Yeah.
near the bars or near walkways that at certain times of day gave people discounts because there was less people drinking at that time or less people eating at that time, pushing up sales. It could be something simple, just pushing them towards Sony's stand because there's just not much engagement. Give them an incentive. Yeah, but yeah, that SimCity is actually quite an interesting one because you do see it and it's all in front of you, and you can build it up in a way you see fit because you understand the flow of like traffic. You understand what people's needs are in certain areas. So I think if you had a system like literally like
It
SimCity,
gives you a actual.
yeah, you could analyze that, look back at it, and the next time you plan the
Mm.
event, you may completely change up where the stage is, from where the toilets are, from where food or drink is, and it could change up everything. It could be people that buy drinks are more likely to buy food if they buy drinks first, something like that, or vice versa. So you put the food further away, so when they're walking back,
Mm.
they're more likely to buy a drink, or something like that.
Or find somewhere to sit. So if that place they sit is near somewhere they can drink, so they get food, then sit, then get a drink, or
Yeah,
something like that.
that's a good one.
I
I like
mean,
that.
benches behind the beer tent or something.
Yeah, makes sense, really. It really does. Making sure that these the seating areas are facing the stage, so you could see maybe raised up a little bit or something. I don't know. Hmm. Interesting. Very interesting.
Hmm.
There you go. Yeah. Again, anything else to add? That was a very good one. Right. Thanks, guys, for joining. If you've got any comments, go ahead and join in the conversation below. The links to the articles and different technologies mentioned today, I'll try and put as many as I can in the description below. Usual like and subscribe if you fancy it. This is the first tech chat. We'll maybe look to do more in the future and have guest speakers. I'll try and get some people at work to come in and have a little chat. Um, may have in a couple of episodes people talking from Spotify, from Google. Yeah, see how it goes. Okay, thanks guys. Bye.